ran into the Statutory Declaration, and I guess I've been reading the canons. The canon of pot. Well, I don't know if you answered the phone, so I guess you have a minute. I've been reading the canons, and the canons are stating that there are actually 3 set of KVs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's stating that the set of KV is actually a private secret trust or private trust.
Mm-hmm.
So my question then becomes, how is it, if it's private and secret, can you use it to compel performance?
Oh, how can you use it to compel performance? Oh, that's
Because
yeah. Go ahead.
because it's mentioned, the set of KV is mentioned in the Statutory Declaration.
Mm-hmm. And
But
what?
it's private.
Yes, correct. And Pope Francis said, "I encourage the downtrodden to change the world economic order," and he did a motu proprio, and he apologized to the indigenous peoples of the Americas.
So because of the motu proprio, that doesn't bring the set of KV out of the private secret trust status.
Oh, yes, because of the motu proprio, because all the immunity of public officials is lifted. They have no immunity. And when the Pope responded and said, I apologize, that's an acknowledgement that people who are indigenous have been wrongfully coerced, forcibly assimilated. So anything that was done to them or their ancestors, they now have claims, provided that they acknowledge their lineage. And then, of course, there's a protocol in how that's done properly. And that's why a lot of people don't want to follow protocol as it pertains to their indigenous or their autochthon standing. So, for example, if they set up a Sa-Auset trust, a private secret trust as of the 1666 Sa-Auset trust, and they don't tell the party that's done it, but the party has found out about it and has done a declaration, everything connected to that must collapse. If they proceed, now you get into breaking of international law. And the only way that you can do that is you have to be international. You cannot be domestic. Most of the 40 million black people who are in the United States, if they say it's 40 million, I say it's more than that. But if they say there's 40 million black people in the United States, those 40 million black people, they're all domestic. They don't talk about international. So by default, they're what? Chattel property of the state, the county, the media company, CNN, whatever.
And that's so when they break the set of KV trust up into 3 set of KVs, the first one is corporate or commercial, the second one is maritime or maritime law or trust law, and the third it says I can't differentiate between Talmudic and Roman cult.
That's ecclesiastical.
Ecclesiastical.
So therefore, how does somebody who's a descendant of the original woman fall under jurisdiction of a Sa-Auset trust?
Of the original woman, through the birth certificate.
No, I'll ask it again. How does a descendant of the original woman who's indigenous, how does that, pardon, say that again?
They don't.
Okay, so they have to say they are what?
Indigenous or autochthonous.
And if they don't say that, what are they?
Chattel property or property of they're either black or civilian.
Black has no standing at law, which was what Barack said. Nobody's disputed it, refuted it, counterclaimed it, rebutted it. So any person out there calling themselves black, African American, colored, visible minority, right, thinking they're saying something intelligent, is admitting that they fall under the jurisdiction of those triple trusts, the triple crown, as they call it.
Triple, but yeah, hey, Chief, I've been out of off of the training for almost a year now. And it's like, not long ago, I'm like, oh man, it's Statutory Declaration. I mean, it's like, I started comprehending it. But I just looked up today, I'm like, hey man, look in the canons for the SEPTA KV. And I'm seeing things now, I guess, because I've never really read the canons before, and I think it's just opening up more.
Well, the canons, yeah, the canons are high end, and I tell people if you're going to use those canons, you better make sure everything from the canons going back as it pertains to one autochthonously, that you have all your bases covered.
Correct, because the moment that you evidence incompetency, they will crush you.
Say that again?
They will crush you. The moment that these entities or anyone that doesn't evidence competency, they evidence incompetency, these quote unquote powers will crush them. That once you demonstrate incompetency, you put yourself right back under their jurisdiction.
Okay, so this is why a lot of people have had a problem with me, and I've never disclosed that before. Not the canons, only the people I train get the canons. And even there, I give them a caveat. So you got to be all wise, right, and exact. These people who are upset with me are emotional. And I said with their energy in motion, they're demonstrating that they are incompetent. Because they're not getting emotional up in those settings, are they? I'm not talking about the people. I'm talking about when you're dealing with these administrators, they don't get emotional, are they?
Well, that was a question recently, that administrators are like, do they know or do they not know when they're just ignorant? And I was of the mindset, and I referenced the 12 monkeys, because the man was on the plane with the woman,
yeah,
and he had the virus that he was going to let go.
Yeah.
And he's going to let the virus go. No one knows where the lady was sitting right next to him on the plane, because she's one of the women. She's one of the leaders that was sending Bruce Willis back in time to find out where did the virus. So no one knew where the virus came from. Mm-hmm. So now everyone is affected by it, and I'm saying it's the same thing going on. I don't think a lot of these commercial people are familiar with the private aspect of what's going on with this set of KV.
It's not your concern. The thing is, once you bring it up, any administrator who does not shut down the Sa-Auset Trust, they must be removed and punished immediately.
Immediately. That's the last. I think that's Canon 2057, but they're different documents, so the canons are different. So I need to try to find an authentic canon. And but that is the last one. It says Canon 2057 of Set of KV. It states any administrator or executor that refuses to immediately dissolve a Set of KV trust upon a person establishing their status and competency, which we establish our status with the Statutory Declaration. And I guess the claim too, but I really haven't looked at the claim yet. Is guilty of fraud and fundamental breach of their fiduciary duties, which indicate the trust, that's which Set of KV is. Fiduciary duties requiring their immediate removal and punishment. That's the last canon in the what you call it.
That's the Sa-Auset Trust Article 100 in
Article
the
100, correct.
In the canon.
So I'm just putting pieces together, man. I sit back, I listen to people. I'm like, for a while I've been not afraid but apprehensive to reach out to you, and I'm like, I'm really trying to grasp this. I'm really not trying. I'm seeing the pieces coming together slowly but surely.
You're grasping it.
And
It's just now when you look now at the world, the way you interface with the world, knowing what you know now, it ain't the same anymore. You have to look at people as chattel, period, based upon their contracts. That's not being what they would call it, egotistical. It's like, look, if you agree to wear that sign that says kick you in the ass, and people keep kicking you in the ass and you don't take the sign off, you have no right to complain about nothing.
Okay, so yeah, the big thing was the compelling performance, and that's been on my mind for the past year. Like, how do you get these people to compel performance? And I don't know if that's a private thing or like a public, public being commercial or private. Do you compel them privately or do you compel them commercial?
Whatever you do privately, you must inform the public of what has been done privately. If there's a breach, once the contract has been breached, then you advertise the breach or the fraud in the factum.
But okay, so am I correct in my assertion that you don't go to you don't seek? I'm trying to form this question exactly how it is on my mind. Like, if you call, if you got a problem with your credit card and you call the 800 number, you get like a low-level customer service representative. But you don't want to speak to the customer service representative. You want to go as high up the food chain as possible to seek a remedy. Because customer service is there just to keep us chasing our tails.
Well, that depends what the situation is. So that's a vague statement. That could be anything. That could be from loss of credit card. It could be for fraud. It's vague. It's very broad, or rather, it's very broad.
Interesting. I appreciate your time, Chief. You just shed some light on. You shed some light, and it would be nice if more people like coming out of they're not going to grasp it out of the ISP, Indigenous Standing Process, but in the UC, if more people either grasped it or were honest that, hey man, I don't quite get what's going on, because when I was in the ISP, I didn't get all this. This has just I've been pounding over this stuff over the past year, and it's just, recently starting to make sense.
This is why people need a guide to help them how to get their fundamentals down. People I'm training, I'm teaching them fundamentals. The ones who listen are successful for the most part. The ones who don't want to listen, who don't want to say, hey, I'm not getting this, they're not going to get it, because it requires your whole life to change, your lifestyle, who you interact with, who you talk to, who you interface with. Old relations have to get cut off or significantly reduced, because they're not going to see this. And so you can't tell these black people in the United States that they're not black for the most part. The ones who listen to me realize, like, hey, you don't have to argue with me. Your own government, or the government you consider oppressive to you, is messed up and told you the secret to get free, and y'all don't want to take it. So they're just going to let it sit there. And then when they make their move with the census coming up and they do their data crunching by 2024, 2025, it'll be written in the universe that all the black people in the United States who did not do SF-181, who did not claim their indigenous, now autochthonous standing, who did not turn around do statutory claims, who did not say anything during the International Decade for People of African Descent, are slaves, and therefore all the other races on the planet have no reason to honor them, regardless whether they're in England, France, Germany, Spain, South America, Mexico, even in Africa, Russia, right? It won't make a difference. Do you hear what I'm saying?
I'm clear. The only thing I'm clear, a tad unclear on is I expect it to happen in 2020, and what it appears is that eventually people who are black won't be able to change their status. There'll come a point where there'll be no undoing it.
Correct.
Undoing their status.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So,
Because they're not going to leave. They can't change white. The focal point is being white. The focal point is letting go of black. And not one of these black entertainers, black scholars, black professors from flicking Cornell West, David Imhotep, all of these retreads. And I say that retreads, rejects, retards. Yes, because retard means to go backwards in development, right? Benjamin Crump, all of them guys know it. This is thanks again to Stephen Coakley, who did his Boule YouTube series with Dick Gregory and said, yes, there's black people. And then I have to give a notation and an honorable mention to Dr. Sabi, because I saw the interview. I have to watch the whole thing, but I saw the clip on the, was it Rock Hudson show? No, Rock Hudson's, that's Amrite. The Rock Newman did an interview with Dr. Sabi, and then Dr. Sabi said no black leaders in the United States care about the health of black people. And, oh, that's an explosive statement. He said that is not an explosive statement. That is a fact. He talked about going to Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton. He talked about going to Maya Angelou. He talked about going to Oprah, and none of them were interested. So if they're not interested in the health, and everyone knows your health is, that's 99% important. If they're not concerned with your health, they are not concerned with your freedom, which means they don't care about you. They don't love you. I'm talking about the black leaders. That's Farrakhan. That's the rest of them. They don't care. And so they're up there like millennial minstrels from the movie Bamboozled, putting on this show like they're so upset. This is what these white man is doing to you. Meanwhile, they're not telling you you are the white man. A person having origins in any of the original peoples of Europe, the Middle East, or North Africa. So those who come, those who see, whose eyes and ears are open, their mind is open, they're going to understand where they need to be. The ones who don't get it, the ones who are emotional, they're still under hypnotism and programming. I'm not mad at them. I accept that, and I realize that is a reality. I seek the living amongst the dead.
I appreciate your assistance, and I have to depart the conversation at this point, but
overstood.
Thank you, and I appreciate you taking the phone call. So
Abyud Gadur, white power.
Hotep.
Hotep. And that's Osceola again. He knows who the master on this planet is. Abyud Gadur, Abyud Gadur, Abyud Gadur.
Chief Nanya at the beginning of the call.